Yo, what's good, y'all? I gotta give this man Tszyu all the props in the world. Saturday night, he fought Tony Harrison. You know, a lot of people seeing this as a real tough matchup. You feel me? I thought it would be tough early on Tszyu, but I thought Tszyu, the outcome would be the outcome. Because, every single one of Tony Harrison losses have been knockout. You know what I mean? And Tszyu had delivered. And it was a good fundamental technical display by Tszyu because Tony Harrison, he won the first round with the jab, and then Tszyu pretty much took over after that. He was keeping Tony in front of him. Tony wasn't doing a lot of moving at first in the first couple of rounds, which kind of surprised me because he was standing in front of Tszyu, trying to outbox him with the jab, with limited movement. And then Tszyu, you feel me? The counter right uppercut Tszyu was catching Tony Harrison with was beautiful all night. That's why Tony Harrison didn't throw a lot of right hands because every time he reached in with that right hand, Tszyu was timing him with that right uppercut. And he showed tremendous improvement since the last fight because Tszyu was getting hit a lot against Terrell Goucher. He was trying to do that counter right hand, like catch and shoot, like he was doing with Tony Harrison, but he was getting hit too much. He was messing it up. He kind of cleaned that up. He got hit a little less. He didn't get hit with a lot of power shots from Tony. Tony landed mostly jabs throughout the fight. And Tszyu, he showed a decent jab himself. And, his right hand is dangerous. He got a mean right hook, of course, the right uppercut. He touched Tony Harrison to the body, and he was cutting off the ring on Tony Harrison. You see, a lot of fighters complain and say that people be running from them, but you know, I think that that's just a bad look for them. Because they're not cutting off that ring. Because when you cut off the ring, you risk yourself to get hit. When you keep somebody in front of you and have them backing up to the ropes and in the corner, they start throwing hard punches to get you off of them. And a lot of fighters don't be really ready to walk through that heat to land them punches. And Tszyu does, and to be a pressure fighter, Tszyu, he doesn't throw a lot of punches. He preserves his energy throughout the fight. You feel me? He looked it real good. And I thought he had no chance against Charlo, but after this performance, that's gonna be a hell of a fight. Charlo gonna have to be on his A game. If the Charlo from that first Castano fight show up, I think Charlo might end up losing to Tszyu because Tszyu shown the ability to keep people in front of you and keep like Terrell Goucher and Tony Harrison. They spent a lot of time, on the ropes and in the corner. Jamel Charlo, he showed that he struggled with pressure, and Tszyu has very educated pressure. I just think that Charlo is just the more complete fighter, and I always pick a fighter that can show two or three styles over the guy that shows me one in Tszyu. But Tszyu is, proven to be very good to great at what he does, man. For real. Like, he didn't even get outboxed by Tony Harrison. He lost one round and completely took over the fight. And the stoppage was a little late. Tszyu, he loaded up like 5 uppercuts in a row on Tony Harrison, and then he hurt him again, landed like 5 hooks in a row. Tony Harrison, his head was stuck in that position when he was hurt, and he was eating all of those punches, and the ref had to stop it after Harrison hit the ground and got up, and he didn't look that great when he did the sobriety test after you get knocked down and get up, at the 8 count or whatever. And he didn't look good, so the stop is him not letting him continue was the right call, but they should have stepped in earlier. Like he was done like 20 seconds earlier. And 154 pounds at PBC, man. That division is lit, man. Tszyu versus Charlo coming up. Can you imagine Tszyu versus Fundora? Like that, you know, that's like one of the most entertaining fights, probably top 10 in boxing right there. And that fight can be made, and they both don't avoid smoke either. They both looking for big fights. Them fighters at 154, they don't really duck each other. They all pretty much on the same network, besides like Xander Zayas. Them fights gonna get made. That's a real entertaining division right there. And Jamel Charlo, he looked like he's gonna remain the king and take on all comers. And Tszyu is coming, man. He got a shot. He got a shot against Charlo. Charlo do not like to be pressured. Well, I'm not saying he don't like to, but he struggles with being pressured. That shit get him mad. He go to throwing wild headshots like we seen in the first Castano fight. And I can't wait for it to be for that fight to be official. Especially with Tszyu beating Tony Harrison better than Charlo ever did. But Charlo only beat him once. So yeah, though, a lot of intrigue in that fight. We need that. I like what I seen out of Tszyu.